Welcome to the GoOutLiving Attitude, a cancer survivor's journey through health and wellness, helping others search for the tools to bring us a healthier and happier lifestyle. Hi everyone, Jonathan Brandt, GoOutLiving. I am excited today to have McKenzie Jacobs with us, a personal trainer, nutrition coach, a little bit of everything actually because of where your story led you. So welcome to GoOutLiving. Really happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and speak with your audience today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So like I said, I think your story is really exciting, isn't that you've been there, you've done it
hmm
sort of thing. So if you wouldn't mind kind of getting us started with that and then, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, of course. Like all great things in life, it started in the fast food line of a Burger King. And I was about 8 years old. And, growing up, I was pretty average at most things. I kind of fell just in the middle, nothing spectacular. Tried sports, kind of was okay at them, but nothing too crazy. I never had that future career of being a pro athlete. Always kind of fell in the middle, always felt a little bit overweight too. I inherited my dad's fast metabolism, and I grew up in a household where I saw eating a lot and that was more normalized. And so I would go to the doctors and they'd be like, you are a little overweight for your height and your age. And that always stuck with me as well. And it wasn't until we were in that fast food line and we were on a road trip and it was my family and we are in Chevy Suburban and my dad looked around. He's like, "What do you guys want?" And I said I would like the number one, which at the time was a triple quarter pounder. And he turned around and it felt like a movie. It was slow motion, I swear. He turned around, looked me dead in the eye, and he was like, "I will not be getting that for you." And I think something just struck in me that day. I think it was a moment of realization. And I think it was the compounding of all the internal self hate I had felt throughout my childhood of not feeling belonging and feeling on the outside just hit me in that moment. And I decided to do something about it. So the next day, I started running. I didn't have running shoes. I didn't have any running sportswear. I literally had flip flops. I just started running. My parents had a treadmill in their room, and I started at like 3 on the treadmill, which is basically walking. And I just started running, and I did it every single day. I got to a point where I started running outside. And every week in PE, because I was in PE, I was not in athletics in middle school, we had a mile run that we would have to do. And each week, my mile kept getting faster and faster. And one day on a Friday, my coach goes, "Hey, McKenzie, you just got a 7:38 mile. That's really fast. You should think about going to listen to the cross country girls. They're coming from the high school. They're coming to the middle school to talk next week. And it could be something cool to look at." And in that moment, I was like, "Who, me, an athlete? I could never." And so, I started to feel those narratives of you don't belong there. That's not for you. But I decided to go anyways. And, it was one of the best things I've ever done for myself because even just being there, I could feel their camaraderie and the sense of community and belonging that they had there and working towards something greater. They were all working towards something greater collectively and individually. And I decided to join the team when high school came around. And I met some of my closest friends from that team. And it instilled in me a sense of discipline and hard work and going for a goal. And while it was great in those capacities, and I still have friendships from that team, it also turned me in the complete opposite direction with health and fitness of obsessiveness. I would run 7 miles a day. We do very hard workouts, and then I'd come home and do P90X for an hour, hour and a half. I would eat Special K cereal 3 times a day. And then, because I was probably starving myself, I would binge those circus animals. They were like the icing graham crackers, basically.
Yeah.
And I was just in this repetitive cycle. And then when I would go to the doctors this time around, it'd be you're underweight. Like I had lost my menstruation, my menstrual cycle. Every time I would go visit my grandparents, my collarbones, they would point that out. They're like, "You need some meat on your bones." And in a sick way, I think hearing that stuff reaffirmed that toxic cycle. I was like, "Oh, so I am now, this underweight version of myself. And people are telling me I look too skinny." And it just bred a really unhealthy cycle. And how I got out of this is going into college, everyone knows college is quintessential, definitely not healthy. You drink a lot, you don't sleep, yeah. But I had a good time in college. But I met someone who, at the time, I had been doing these little hit workouts. They're called Kayla Tini. She's huge in Australia. And she did one with me. And then she's like, I'm going to show you my type of workout. She was a power lifter at LSU. And so she introduced me to the squat rack and to barbells and heavy lifting. And that day and that moment just set me on a completely different path. I started to become obsessed with this, right? This was my new next move too. But in this sense, it was healthy because instead of focusing on the weight on the scale and being obsessive about that and trying to shrink myself to nothingness, I was focused on the weight at the bar and improving my form and trying new exercises or a new machine I'd never done. And it completely shifted my mentality around health and fitness to one where I didn't really care as much about my aesthetics. It took that toxic mindset and it shifted it to something completely different and something that filled my cup and was good for me and created tenacity and empowerment. And so, yeah, ever since I touched that barbell, I've I've been obsessed with that to say, but it's really shifted my whole mindset on what health looks like and how a lot of times our society preaches the wrong things of what you should be doing. And I feel like now that I have found my enlightenment, per se, of finding a good balance of, health and nutrition, but also enjoying life and having strong social connections and family relationships and doing things that are meaningful for you. I found that balance. I want to be able to spread that to other people. And so that's my mission, is to be able to show people the light, per se, of you can have the body you want and it's actually going to look very different than what you think. It's going to look like all these different buckets of your life are full and you don't have to take from these other buckets and you're only working out a couple of days a week and you're focused on strength and muscle building rather than having to work out an hour and a half to burn off the cake you ate yesterday. So I feel like it's my mission to be able to help guide other people into that path and to show them that there really is a better way to do it. And don't learn from my mistakes. Don't follow the same path. So that's really, really why I'm here and what got me into personal training. I just developed such a love for it. And I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning. I love the anatomy, physiology, human movement. I find it fascinating. And so I just kind of dove into it and I was like, what would this look like if I helped other people with this? Since I've walked that walk, I've been there. I know what it feels like. I know the mindsets that you have. I know how restrictive and how you feel like a prisoner to it a lot of times. So I've been there and I can relate to my clients in that sense.
Well, I think you brought it up perfectly when you said, well, I mean, society has created this almost monster from the fitness side of it. And like we were talking before camera, when I think of personal trainer, I don't get a very positive thought about a lot of them because, again, I think I read too where you said, okay, the 60-day, you know, go all out to be the person you want to be. It's not realistic, is it? And you've taken your personal training to a whole different side of it, to more of a common sense, I'd love to say.
I like that. Thank you. I'll take that.
I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, I mean, that's kind of how you look at it. It's not a short term, this is a life that
exactly.
you're dealing with.
And that's how this thing is going to work, right? If yes, I can get you to lose 20 pounds in 2 months. Does that mean one, you're going to be happy and you're going to enjoy it? No. Does that mean you're going to keep the weight off? Heck no, you're not. That is not sustainable. I could also cut your leg off and you lose pounds automatically. Does that mean that's what you want? No. So the real challenge here is shifting mindsets. Yes, I am a body worker, but I would say 95% of the work I do is shifting mindsets and taking people who have such a control over this thing and they think if they let go, they're just going to fall to their old behaviors or become that fat kid again or all those traumas they had from the past. If they let go just a little bit, and really that's not the case. What is going to make this thing work is that it's going to fit your life and you're going to enjoy it, because something you don't enjoy, you will not keep. And then you'll be right where you started or even worse. So that's my whole mission, is making this thing something that you love and that you want to do. And to do that, we can't we can't be working out 6 days a week, and, you also have a family and you have a full-time job and you're restricting your eating, like, they just don't work together. Like, we need to fuel your body so that you can show up as the best version of yourself in your life, and so that, you have a better relationship with those around you, with yourself, and that's how you make this a lifelong thing.
Yeah, I found myself stuck in that. The more you work out, the better you're gonna be, and especially during my cancer treatment, I was doing 4 or 5 hours a day, and the worst part was, after my bone marrow transplant treatments and all that, I ended up 65 pounds overweight. And that's why I'm even doing all that workout, and it took me a long time to figure out it's the nutrition, it's everything, it's not about the more, it's about doing it the right way. So, when you have somebody that comes to you with a chronic illness, with obesity, with heart disease, how do you how do you let them know that there is a good path there? It's just gonna take them a while.
Yeah, that's a great question. We all have a stress bucket, and I like to kind of give this little visual of a stress bucket. And just because, you could work out 5, 6 days a week when you're in your 20s doesn't mean that that's where your stress bucket is today. You have a lot more things filling up your stress bucket, especially if you're, living with a chronic illness. Obviously, that is added stress. And so even just one little thing can tip that stress bucket over, and so we have to make sure we find that correct balance of, what does it look like through your week? Let's think of a week that life is lifing, things are hectic as always. We always picture what a perfect week looks like. That's not how it usually goes. What does that look like? Are we working out 1 to 2 days a week? Are we working out 2 to 3? What feels realistic? Let's start there. So we set our foundation. We see how we feel. And then let's say, okay, we feel good. Like, we're in a good rhythm. Okay, now we want to tackle a little bit of nutrition. Okay, cool. Let's swap processed foods for whole foods. So things that are outside of a box and a wrapper. Let's do that. Let's see how we're feeling with that. Does that tip the stress bucket over? Is it too much for us to handle right now? Okay, let's hold that for a couple weeks. And then my client's like, okay, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling energized. And they come to me and they're like, okay, I really want to reach XYZ goal. I'm like, okay. So it sounds like we're ready for the next step. So you kind of scale it that way. You see where they're at today and you meet them where they're at, and you build a plan that works with that so that they can keep it. And once they fulfill those small promises to themselves that you guys set together, they feel the momentum, they feel inspired, they feel confidence building that they can do hard things. And they usually come to me asking for more. So it's a stair step. We want to make sure we take it one step at a time and make sure we're not tipping over that stress bucket. And sometimes for certain people in their phase of life, working out twice a week is too much for them. It tips over their stress bucket. They have family health issues they're dealing with. They're going through a divorce. Their full-time job is just running them ragged. So sometimes we're just walking. We're just walking our 7, 8,000 steps a day, and that's what we're doing. So you really have to meet people where they're at, and you have to stair step to a place where they feel like they can keep it and it feels good to them and it fits in their life. So that's usually my approach with that.
Yeah, it's the acknowledgement first of understanding where you're at, and then setting those goals that you can actually accomplish. Because there's no point if you can't get there.
Exactly. It's just defeating. And then they're going to go the exact opposite, And that's what happens to a lot of people with the New Year's resolutions, which I'm not a huge uh,
Mine
lover.
always revolve around it somehow, but yeah.
Yeah, my whole industry does. It's money. It's always about money. But yeah, it's, people like during the holidays, they completely go off their routine, off the wagon. They indulge or with family, which you should enjoy family. You should enjoy the good food and celebrating around that time. But then they come January and they're like, okay, now I'm going to get into gear. So they go from 0 to 180 and it lasts for a week or two. But of course, that's not going to last if you went from not exercising at all and eating cake for dinner every day to wanting to work out 5 days a week and eat, only vegetables and meats. Like it's just we need a transition phase. And so that's what my goal and my job is to do is to be that guide into creating that transition into better habits that will actually stick.
And take your time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have our whole lives to work out, to be healthy. Like it's okay. We don't have to operate under the narratives that the fitness industry gives us of like, get a six pack in 30 days. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen.
Right.
you
Exactly.
know?
Well, I think that's the problem though, not just with the fitness side. Like I said, with my cancer side, it was like, okay, let's just hit this hard and get it over with. And that's not how it works. And there was nobody there to say that. I wish somebody said, no, you got time for this. Whether you do or not, I mean, it probably doesn't matter. Well, it matters. It's you can only do so much anyway without actually harming yourself.
Yourself. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Going the opposite direction you want to.
Exactly, which
Mm.
I did. I proved that, and I'm obsessed with things. I mean, that's you hit every point of how badly I did everything.
But you
Uh,
learned, you learned and
oh, I did.
you know the way now, you know.
I did. I came off weight restrictions. I tell people this all the time because I had surgery over the summer, and my one first day of coming off weight restrictions, let's go do a pull up because this is going to be a new thing in my life is pull ups. About I think I about ripped everything open. I mean, it hurt so bad, and it's like common sense told me not to do it, but I still had to
Yeah.
try and prove myself right or wrong, whichever way I was trying to do it at that point. Be smart about it. That's the other side of this. Something that really intrigued me too is, and you said, I think at any age, the strength training and how absolutely important that is, almost over the cardiovascular.
Yes.
So, could you explain that a little bit?
Yes, I'm happy to. Yes. So muscle is our longevity organ. They have so many studies at this point about the relationship between muscle and metabolic diseases and how the more muscle mass you have, more preventative it is to heart disease, even dementia, Alzheimer's. Like our muscle is our longevity organ. It not only helps us live a mobile, high quality of life, but it's going to help you down the road in terms of preventing against a lot of the things that unfortunately we see in this day and age in this country of people passing away from. And so I always say shield yourself with muscle. Not only will you feel amazing and not only will you get the aesthetics that you are looking for, but you will have stronger bone density. You will prevent bone loss, osteoporosis, sarcopenia. You you don't want to be one of those people who falls down when you're 70, breaks a hip, and then you die of pneumonia. You know why they die? It's because they have muscle atrophy. They're still everything atrophies. They have their immune system is compromised. So we must have muscle as our longevity organ so that we can be independent going into our 70s, 80s, 90s. We can be mentally there. We can have conversations and it's so important, and I love that I think research is finally starting to promote this. I think our society is finally starting to accept it, especially where we were in the 90s, 2000s, where skinny was all the rage, and now I think we've shifted into people understanding how important muscle is. And I think even more so now, people are realizing with the introduction of GLP-1s and seeing how that has completely shifted our our society. And a lot of people and experts in my field say we don't have a obesity problem, we have an under muscled problem. And I fully agree with that. And I think if we're able to armor ourselves with muscle, it's going to pay it forward for years to come in your life. And I'm such an advocate for it, especially for my older women. Older women, I want them to be strength training. I want them to be hitting a 5 by 5 squat going as heavy as they can. Like I want their body to feel this stress, adapt from it and become resilient so they're ready to take on the world so that they don't fall, break a hip and die of pneumonia. It's so preventable. And I don't think people see the correlation all the time of that. And it's there and it's muscle and it's so important. Like I said, even cognitively with dementia, Alzheimer's. So it's so
Well,
important.
we have to understand that we're not like we were 100 years ago. We're a lot less physical. We're sitting in front of a computer, on a desk. We're not getting that strength training from just everyday work.
Yes, correct.
So, and yeah, the cardio is probably the same way, but it's that important. And you see that, like you said, in our older generation, that kind of, yeah, we just kind of give up, don't we?
I mean, it's sad. I hate saying it, go to Disney World in Florida. You're gonna see the state of our country and where our health is at. And it is very sad. And a lot of it is preventable, but that's why I'm such a huge advocate for strength training. And like I said, not only are you going to get the aesthetics you want, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to lose fat. Like I got to do cardio, elliptical, stairmaster. No, you got to build muscle so that your basal metabolic rate increases. You burn more calories at rest. It makes losing weight easier. So it'll give you the aesthetics, but even more importantly, it'll give you the health and longevity. And that's what I'm such a big advocate for. And it doesn't take a lot. Muscle is so incredible. It takes a seventh of the amount of volume and training to maintain muscle once you've built it. So it really doesn't take that much. So set a strong foundation, get a coach. I always recommend that. Do it correctly. And then you can literally turn the dial back and you only have to work out maybe 1, 2 times a week to maintain that muscle. And you can even grow muscle at that point. So yeah, it's so it's so amazing. And I just want to tout its benefits. But yeah, I feel like we're slowly starting to realize how important it is. But obviously with GLP-1s, it's a whole new challenge that we have to conquer with.
Well, and don't fall into in 60 days. If there's a limitation that's thrown out there, walk away.
Yes, exactly.
One quick thing, more confident fitness. I highlighted in here. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've had an evolution of my name. Originally, when I started my fitness Instagram, I was McFitty and I'd had my logo done and everything. And I started to think about how I wanted something that more represented my clients than me. So I didn't want it to be tied to my name. Since I had that logo, I was like, okay, what can I make from this? And yeah, with the help of, ChatGPT, my partner, came up with more confident fitness. And it felt really right because my whole purpose is to make people not only feel confident through fitness, make people not only more confident through their fitness journey and understanding the best ways to work out, but more importantly through themselves. So it's more confident fitness or more confident you. And I am all about confidence and showing up as the best version of yourself to the world. And so that's my mission. And yeah, so that's where more confident fitness came from.
Great. Absolutely wonderful. McKenzie, I mean, a real pleasure. And I hope we can have you on again, to be honest. There's a lot more we could talk about. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate the way you're going at the personal trainer side of it. Like I said, it kind of, even though I'm a personal trainer, there's something about it that just never sat right with me. So to see your side of it and how you're acting with it, I love it. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'm happy to come on anytime.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. But yeah, that's what we got today. And like I said, we'll have McKenzie on again for sure. So, all right, everybody, as you know, find the attitude, keep the attitude. Will living. Bye, everyone.